What up, y'all? I hope you're well. I'm a little chilly. I just got in from a long walk out at the park, which was nice. It's nice to be out in the woods. It's mud season, so that was a little bit of a challenge, but there were so many people out walking their dogs because everybody was just so excited that the sun was out. So that was fun. Then there's like this house on the corner near the park that a woman puts out baked goods on a table, and it's pay what you want to her Venmo. And there was somebody at her door today, so I got to say thank you for some of the baked goods that I'd bought from her over time. But it's just such a cute, nice little idea that I love. So anyway, we are here for our weekly romance and love oracle and tarot reading. So as I started the video a second ago and I got a bit rambly, but this card came out while I was shuffling, which is the wedding card. This situation involves marriage. Now, that can be a lot of things. That can mean that you are dealing with someone who is maybe in the middle of a divorce or a separation. That's always messy. If you can avoid getting involved with people until they are completely out of their current situation, then do so. And I'm not saying that when you meet someone that you are attracted to and they're like, oh, I'm getting divorced, like, don't wait around for that person, because they're at the beginning of a very long and messy stage of healing. So just consider those people no stop signs. Move on to something else, and if they're meant to be in your life, they'll work their way back in somehow. Fate will bring them back around, but my advice is if someone is like, yeah, I'm getting a divorce, then be like, great, hope it goes well for you. But wait, and don't start something up with someone who's in the undoing of a big, huge thing. Because what's going to happen is they will be all like excited about something new and something novel, and they will have a great time with you. And then when they are satiated from whatever they weren't getting in their marriage, they're going to turn inward and get serious and do the healing work. So don't fall into the illusion. It's not going to work. It's not going to go anywhere. The other thing that immediately came to me is, by the way, public service announcement, just avoid third-party situations always, forever, always and forever. Never get involved. It is a curse, and it is only going to bring you chaos. And you're getting into a situation where you're hurting other people, and it's not going to like result in positive fruits. Like, even if in your mind the whole thing goes to plan and it works out just the way you want it to, the thing will always be tainted. And the person, if you're not the person in the relationship, then that person will always think of you as the person who broke up their relationship, even though they might go along with it and be with you. It's like that thing will always be there. They will always feel bad about how things ended. And if you're the person who is in the relationship looking outside of your relationship thinking it's so much better, the thing is that we learn in Kabbalah is that if you have like certain problems or issues with the person like involving the relationship that you're in, then those are the issues that relationship has offered you the opportunity to address and heal. Now, I'm not talking about extreme cases of abuse. Those are always an exception where you should like go and get yourself into something safe. Go get it to safety, not jump into some other situation thinking that'll save you. Like, because I know people have that mindset, but get to safety. But if this is just your run-of-the-mill typical relationship with problems, like we all have had, every relationship has their problems, then thinking that somebody else will be better and that this is all just the relationship dynamic that you have with this person is not going to solve your problem. Because what happens is the assignments that came up in your relationship, the problems that you experienced, are showing you issues within yourself that need to be worked on. You're not supposed to point the blame at someone else and like say that they need to do the work. Even if they do need to do the work, everyone individually needs to do their own work. That is very true. But it doesn't excuse you from your work, and it doesn't help them, and it doesn't help you, and it usually pushes them away if you're focused on what they need to change. And also that has you coming from a root level of victim and blame consciousness. So what you want to do is go deeper into your own growth, your own healing, your own strengthening, your own relationship with God and with the Christ, and doing that work on yourself. And then if that person is going to grow parallel with you, something will turn on in them. If you're going deeper into your own healing and really doing the transformation, then one of two things will happen. Either that person will spontaneously up level on a soul level, or they will exit your life. And that's what happened to me in my last relationship. I was very torn on whether or not I should end the relationship or not, or whether it was about persevering. And I didn't want to do the wrong thing and make a mistake. And so I prayed about it a lot, and I kept doing the work on myself, and I got stronger in my relationship with God, and I went deeper into my spiritual studies and all of that stuff, and I was making the changes in myself. It's not just about filling yourself with information. That's useless if you don't transform. Like, we've all known people that are like intellectually into the concepts, but then they're like a shitty person, and you're like, how are you like this, like after doing all of your studies? But we've all met them. So you have to do the transformation. But then once you do that, if that person isn't meant for you, they'll be taken out of your life. That is what happened to me. I was about to break up with this person after having done all this work, praying, and I still wasn't quite sure I was making the right choice, but it was literally like it was about to come out, and they broke up with me in that very conversation. And it was such a relief, and it was like the greatest answer of all my prayers, because what was so heavy was now over. I didn't have to worry about feeling survivor's guilt or that I had made the wrong decision. I knew God had come in and intervened for me, so I was super grateful. So there was another point that I was going to get at, and then I got sidetracked. So if you are in a relationship and you're having problems, and then you think, even if there's not anybody that you're leaving this person for, you just think, I should have a better relationship or whatever. But you don't really start to address those issues within yourself. Those things are going to show up in the next relationship. No matter how great the person looks in the beginning, those same issues will come to the surface once the honeymoon phase is over in the next relationship, because these issues are your assignments and they're going to follow you around. It's like people who move all over the country into different countries, and they're always moving, always changing. They're like, I need to change. And they're never changing themselves. They just change their scenery, but they're always like, once the excitement of the novelty of the new city wears off, it's like they're stuck with themselves again. And they're like, well, I guess I'll move. And it's like, there's so much cost and adjustment, and you're always like losing your network of stability, and like you can't build intimacy and long-term relationships that way. So the thing is that at every different city this person runs to, they're always there. So their problems follow them there, and they just are able to ignore them under the brightness of the excitement for a while, but eventually those things still push to the surface. So we're never going to be a perfected, finished product, because on that day we are dead. So we're always a work in progress. But you know, when you've done work on an issue, like say you were really codependent and very anxiously attached, and when you've done a lot of work on that, and you can sense the improvement in yourself, and you have witnessed the improvement of yourself when you have new interactions, like then you're in new territory, and maybe it can be different in the next thing. But until you dedicate your attention onto doing that inner work, things aren't going to change on the outside. Which brings me to my point about the alchemical marriage. The alchemical marriage. I don't know why I said that like that. So the alchemical marriage is the marriage of spirit and material, right? It's our soul and our spirit merging in oneness with the Creator, with that light within us. And so what that also looks like is when the inner work, when your spiritual healing starts to make a material difference in your behavior, in your actions, in your choices, and then everything starts to change on the outside too, but it starts first with that inner transformation. So this situation affects marriage. Maybe you're single and there are some quirks that you have, or some issues, or some little things that you think, oh, this is not that big of a deal. You're sweeping it under the rug. But maybe that's the thing that's kind of blocking you from you reading someone and them taking you seriously and wanting to take the next step. So I think that whatever is sort of like, you're like, oh, I see that in my peripheral about myself, but I think it's fine. I'm going to focus on other things. Like that might be the thing that is affecting your relationship status or lack thereof at the moment. So, and I'm taking this advice too, because I just gave up, I gave up for Lent. I usually give up sweets. I usually become the master of my domain. If anybody knows that reference from Seinfeld, I'm not going to explain it to you. You can look it up. And this year I have given up my my little comfort splurge cannabis. It's a THCA, state regulated, approved, legal, adult relaxant. But nevertheless, I wanted to take that out of my system for a month, put it away. And the thing is that we talk about on this channel, when you make a sacrifice and it's something that is hard for you to die to or to give up or to let go of, that opens up so much power and miracle juice, right? That can be transformed into something else that comes on the other side of it. For instance, Monday at work, in our pre-work meeting, in our shift meeting, I asked anybody if they were going to do Lent, and we talked about it, and I told the things that I was giving up. And after I made that declaration, because they were all like, Liz, you're giving up weight. Oh my God, and sweets, you got to give yourself something. And I was like, nope, sweets was too easy last year. I've got to make it really hard. And the fact that I don't want to give up weed for Lent means that I should give up weed for Lent. So literally making that declaration, have not even started Lent yet. That night, God gave me a $1,400 tip on one table, on one party that I was waiting on, a private party. And so I considered that a good faith bonus. And then my manager was like, hey, such a great bonus. She was like, just give up sweets. I was like, no way. I've already made the declaration. If I take it back now, I will have $2,000 worth of chaos. So we have started Lent. Lent began yesterday. It's not too late. You can jump in. And you don't have to be Catholic. But this is a time where we fast in solidarity with Jesus when he was in the desert for 40 days. And he was fasting and he was preparing himself for the upcoming Passover that would ultimately lead to his crucifixion and resurrection. So he was preparing himself as the sacrificial lamb to go, to be alone, to be with his thoughts, to be with his prayers, to be with God. And so during that time in the desert, the devil came and tempted Jesus 3 times in order to throw him off of his trajectory, off of his course, off of his plan. And so by observing this feast, we let go of something that is a fleshly pleasure to us, and we bring something about our ego, our personality that we want to break free from, that we want to let go of. Remember, this season is also Passover season. So this is the Exodus season. This is where we're putting our thoughts into leaving Egypt, right? And what does that mean? Egypt is the thing that holds power over us, that keeps control over us, that keeps us bound and small, and keeps us from revealing our potential, right? Egypt represents the ego, and the ego is the playground of the devil. It's the favorite thing that the devil loves to use against you, is your ego. It's like here, the keys are in the car, and devil just gets in and is like, "Arr!" So all of that from our beginning card, this situation involves marriage. So if you want to get married, if you want to call in your soulmate and you're hoping for that this year, maybe Lent would be a great thing to do, to fast and give up something and deal with an issue of yours, or let God deal with it with you, help you deal with that. And then perhaps that sacrifice will open up the gates for miracles to come through into your life, to channel through into your life. So let's hope so. But yeah, it never hurts. I mean, the thing is, I've always had wonderful things occur during Lent. I have overcome challenges and overcome like a sugar addiction and things like that. Like the power my sweet tooth used to have over me, it's nothing anymore. And I mean, not just that, but like deep emotional things and spiritual issues and personality issues that I have overcome, like temper. And I mean, not like I will always have a bit of a temper. It's always something I struggle with, but like hostility and built up anger and judgment and jealousy, envy, covetousness. Like these are things that I have taken through and been like, all right, like I want to get this out of me. I have come to forgive people that I had grudges that were very precious to me, so this is a powerful time to really change your heart. Free yourself. Oh my God, literally leaving Egypt. It's time to take back control of your life. So again, Lent is a great season to do that, because you have the unity of all the people that are doing this together and joining in, and like all of the collective consciousness right now of Christians who are participating in Lent, people who are maybe not Christians who decide that they're Christ curious, right? That want to join in. Maybe there are and also, preparing for Jewish Passover, there are things that you do to take self-inventory, and there's things that you do to prepare your home for that moment. So the springtime is a very powerful time of year for deep introspection, because we're in the end of winter and beginning of spring. So Pisces season presents this to us. It's like, hey, this is the most spiritual sort of month as far as the astrological sign that influences that month. Pisces is the most spiritual. It's the Jesus fish. It's the depths of the soul, right? So this is a powerful opportunity to break free from things that have had hold over you, right? So what do you think has been holding you back in your life, but particularly your love life? How are your relationships with your parents? Mine weren't always very good. I had a very tumultuous relationship with my mom, and a very neglectful and sort of not overbearing, but a hard, neglectful father. And I have always done my best to be a good daughter and just be who I am with them. But me and my mom, our personalities are very alike. So that was difficult. And that has become a much more harmonious and enjoyable relationship that we have now. My dad, he's still my dad, but I have different feelings about him. I can accept that he's never going to be that warm, fuzzy dad from the movies, the Steve Martin from Father of the Bride. I will never have that. But he is the father that I do have. And he was the way he was so that I would be born and have someone who gave me zero validation, zero attention, so that I would grow up not needing it. And so I have learned to be independent and not need that. And that is a strength that I have, because I have chosen to move in that direction, as opposed to feeling sorry for myself, victim consciousness, hating my dad, feeling hurt and offended by him for the rest of my life. Like, I know people who have kind of that difficult time letting it go, and it bleeds into their relationships and it bleeds into the other areas of their life. So, how are your most intimate relationships? Is there work that you can do to start forgiving your parents and start to feel differently about them, or try to start to perceive them differently? How are your relationships with your siblings and the people around you? Pay attention to those things, but there's something definitely that we need to break free from that is holding us back from our marriage, right? So I think, this is like free yourself next to marriage. I don't interpret this as free yourself from your marriage. I think if you're married, then it's like the best advice for you is to, like we said, do what you can to address those issues within your marriage. If you can, you'll never have a perfect relationship ever. Whoever you end up marrying, you're going to get to that point where you're like, this person has like worn me thin. And you have to get through those times and push through to the good times again. It takes work, right? So no good marriage just happens. It is made. And every marriage, even the best ones, even the longest and strongest, come against really hard times where both people probably thought about leaving. So I would say free yourself in your consciousness and in your heart from the issues that are keeping you in conflict, right? It's not to say completely back down from your values and your needs to avoid the conflict, but there are things that we can soften our heart about, where we start to judge the other person and criticize the other person, and we only see their faults and we don't see their goodness, and we don't just give them fun and allow them to have a good time and give them the freedom that they need to be themselves and air to breathe, right? So get really honest. If you're in a relationship, what can you do to soften your heart and keep the warmth and the love and the passion and the fun alive in your relationship? And if we are talking to single people right now, there's something that is holding you back from having a serious relationship where someone wants to build with you long term, right? And that might not be something specifically wrong with you that you need to change. Like some people have like very narcissistic tendencies and things like that. Maybe it's not that at all. Maybe you're the person who just ends up getting distracted in your crush on someone who's not interested in you back, or you like someone who is not showing you the investment, not chasing after you, not making it clear that they are reciprocating what you want as well. Or you're projecting this like on someone who's completely like, it doesn't return the, it's unrequited, right? And you're hoping that they'll sometimes at some point notice you. And it's like, these things they click pretty quick. And the people who are friends that end up falling in love, like that happens on its own. But fawning after someone who is not pursuing you, like if you're a female, this is because it's usually females looking at trying to get these guys that aren't interested in them, and then they chase after this guy that will oblige them. They will hang out with them. They'll soak up the attention. They'll soak up like the light that you're giving this guy, and the affection and the confidence that you're giving him, and maybe the affection and sex that you're giving him, right? But then he's not consistent, and he doesn't invest in you, and he doesn't commit. Well, it's because you've already chased him and given to him, and you're giving to people who don't have any serious intentions towards you. So if you might have those tendencies to let your crushes get away from you, and you don't use your good judgment and your reason to say, okay, is this person pursuing me? If so, are we compatible in this stage of our life? Is this person truly available to me in all ways? Are they serious? Are they ready in their life for a real relationship to see where it goes? Or are they just having fun? Do they just want the girlfriend experience until the fun wears off, right? Now, if I can't speak for men, but if you are pursuing a woman who is a little hard to get, but then she's like great and she, is very warm, and that might be just normal attraction. But if you are continuing to give your attention to a woman who doesn't answer you at all, who's not reciprocating, who isn't giving you, just take a hint, because if you keep on with that consciousness of neediness, of I'm not taking the hint that this person doesn't reciprocate those feelings, then you're going to end up meeting someone who wants to take advantage of your goodness, right? And that can look a lot of different ways. So with, many men and women, they're very giving, and they're so open that they get taken advantage of, and people use them for sex, and they use them for money, and they use them for somewhere to live, cheaper rent. They use them for a warm body. They use them for a conversation when they're bored. How many people have these, people who message them every so often, and it doesn't go anywhere, but it's like these people take up space in your energy and in your thoughts, right? So free yourself so that you can have the real deal. So do the soul searching. Do you have some obvious addiction that's holding you back? Do you have terrible relationship with money? That's another thing. We're in a Venus retrograde right now. And if you have a really unhealthy relationship with money, chances are you're not going to be able to draw in a healthy romantic relationship, because love and money are connected. And if you have a struggle with finances, it's people shouldn't get involved with people because of money, and people shouldn't not care about someone because their money isn't perfect. But when someone has a serious issue with how they handle money, then that is a big red flag that somebody's not going to want to get involved with a person who they can see it's always going to be a struggle, right? And if you are in a relationship and you're always struggling with money, that wears down after a while, and it does take its toll. Now, if you're both trying to do everything you can and you're in it together, it doesn't take, it's not like, if you have a decent relationship, say two teachers, right? They're not going to make a lot of money, but maybe they love what they do and they're good at living within their means. Then that's fine. That's going to be stable for them, and maybe they can figure out how to make more money if they want to. But if you've got a person who's got, say, a middle income, but they live over their means and they spend more than they have, and they're always in debt, and there's no end to it in sight, and they don't have any intention of reining it in, then that is always going to be a weight and a burden on the relationship. And so is it fair to the other person, right? So there's certain things that we do have control over that are going to affect our other half. So it's okay, become the person that you want to show up for you. Be realistic with yourself. Are there major issues that you need to take care of that are holding you back from getting a partner, right? Pay attention to your grooming and your hygiene. There are people out there with the most foul dental, hygiene, and they're what's the issue? Why am I single? It's you are gross. You're gross. You need to clean yourself. You need to have really good hygiene. Any area that someone's mouth is going to be on your body better be pristine. Let's just put it that way. Get into all, floss better than you ever have. Scrub all the areas, get in there, right? Okay, playfulness. To recapture romance, allow your inner youthful spirit of fun to shine. So, once you rid yourself of your maladies, You floss and brush your teeth, wipe your ass real good. Get out there, put yourself out there, have fun, be light, be fun. We can get so serious, and then we can get really like introverted when we go out in public. I have to like remind myself, like, do I have resting bitch face right now? When I was on the trail, I'm like walking and I'm just relaxed and I'm just like looking around. But I know myself, if I have a totally relaxed face, I look stern. I look like I'm in some kind of crisis. Like, it's not welcoming. So, check your energy when you're out in public or when you're online or wherever you are, where you interact with people and interface with people. Be playful, be inviting. Like, it's really hard when you're out somewhere. Even if you see an attractive person, it's like, it's really hard to get an in. Like, it's a little easier at the bar, but literally like the last time I went out, I was like, okay, I look cute. And I was waiting on my girlfriends to show up. So I was just like open in the booth. I was not on my phone. I was in the cutest outfit and I was open to the room, looking around, like just hanging and chilling. It was like everybody was like so closed off and like down and like inward and like not interacting. So do what you can to drop a handkerchief, as they say. Matt Hussey talks about the concept for a female to drop a handkerchief. He talks about how it's not fair for a woman to just have to wait to see who approaches her. And yet, how do you maintain this little cat and mouse game if you're the one, putting it out there, right? So he was like back in the day, like 1800s, like and beyond, Belch. A woman might see a man that she's like, oh wow, he's hot. He's a fetching gentleman. Look at him. So they would walk by, exchange a polite little smile, and then, oh my gosh, I accidentally dropped my handkerchief. I didn't even notice. Just keep walking. And so then that person, being a gentleman, they'd be like, oh my God, this woman, I've got to save her handkerchief. So they go and they like give the handkerchief back. So in this modern day, how can you indicate your interest and then just kind of keep on moving? It's not like keep on indicating the interest and keep on sending a message and keep on this and keep on that. It's like a little bit here and a little bit there, right? The idea of leaving someone slightly hungry after a meal, right? You don't want to leave them starving because then there's no connection and everything's just cold and there's a barrier. But it's not fun to interact with someone who completely pretends to be completely uninterested. It's like there's no excitement there. So it's also not exciting if you're like too available and too much, too in your face, too like, hey, just checking out, like, you know what I mean? Like, make sure that you have the exchanges that have value, right? But don't be so like, if you're a woman, this is like, men do not need to be so coy. It's more exciting for women when men like make an effort and they come on a little strong and they like show their interest. Even the guys that I'm not interested in that show me a lot of interest like through social media and things, like, I'm like, well, that's not, like, it still gives me like happiness, I guess. Like, happiness is pretty shallow. It's not joy. But I mean, I'm like, oh, that's nice. Like, it's flattering. Like, I appreciate it. I don't hate it. But then it can go over the edge sometimes, and it can get a little bit like, why are they still, like, I'm not messaging them, I'm not responding to them. Like, they keep doing this, and then it kind of gets a little bit like, So pace yourself, gentlemen. Remember what we talked about earlier. If they're showing a little bit of interest back, then do a little more. Try to figure out, though, if they are just politely responding to you because they don't want to be rude, or if they are also flirting back. I think you can tell a difference when someone's just like, thanks, and when they're like, So take that into consideration. But if you're a woman, you don't want to come on strong to the guy, because guys want to have the excitement of earning someone, of chasing someone, of not knowing quite, if it's a guaranteed deal. Like if you're a done deal and they know it's a guarantee and you're the one showing all the interest, that is no fun for a man. It's kind of a turn off. So be playful, be fun, put it out there. But remember, the drop of the handkerchief, I'm showing you, I'm indicating interest, and then going about my business, right? Okay, and then our last romance or angels oracle card is, deception. We have deception, let your friends help and stay optimistic. So this time around, we're going to be very, very careful about using our discernment and paying attention to red flags. When somebody is not adding up and their actions are not in alignment with their words and their energy and their behavior, pay attention. I know all of us have done this a million times because we're so attracted to someone and the chemistry is so there. And we think, oh, maybe if they see how great I am, and then they get used to the idea that, oh, it's so great dating me, won't they want a relationship after that? Naturally. When somebody tells you, like, guys are pretty upfront about whether or not they're serious. Not a lot of guys actually go out of their way to deceive you and make you think that you're going to have a relationship with them just to turn around and tell you that is not happening. Now, I'm not saying that hasn't happened to me. It has. But not all guys are like that, right? And so most of the time, they will show you in an obvious way whether or not they have any intention towards you long term. Like, you can kind of get their energy. And sometimes they'll even flat up tell you, like, I'm not really ready for anything serious. And you know what women do? We're like, but you haven't figured out how wonderful it is to be with me yet. And once you're in that kind of heaven and bliss, you'll never want to let it go. And we all think this, and this is never how it turns out. Guys are very clear and very sure about where their readiness is in their timing, and they're not going to veer off track. They're not going to suddenly be like, you know what, you're right. I'm just suddenly over all of my avoidance. Or their idea of their timing. For men, love and what they're able to give to relationship, a lot of times it depends on where they're at in their life. And they have a certain idea of what they think that they should be offering a woman. And if they don't perceive themselves as having that value to bring, then they don't feel right or ready to have serious relationships that are actually going to go towards marriage. So don't deceive yourself. Be for real. Don't waste your own time. Your time you cannot get back. And if you're happy to show up and waste your time, then that same guy that tried to give you the warning will sit there and oblige you. He'll be like, all right, I told you, but I will still sit here and feel all the sexy fun and let you cook for me and do all the things and, have a good time until I think that this has come to its completion, or it's like shit or get off the pot moment, and then it's going to be over. So don't deceive yourself anymore. Pay attention to those red flags. Also, if somebody's showing like weird jerky behavior in the beginning, or they seem to have a temper and they, snap at you and they're disrespectful, don't stick around for that, because they're only going to get worse with time. So once again, look past the mask and the facade that someone might be presenting and listen to your deepest intuition. Stay optimistic. Don't throw in the towel. So many times the reason we settle for the deceiver or the red flag person or the not quite right person is because we don't feel like we're going to get another opportunity. We think, oh, it's so rare that I meet someone that I really click with. And that might not be true. Maybe the reason why we're not meeting people that we click with is because there's something that God needs us to address or take care of or achieve or accomplish before we're distracted in a relationship, right? So stay optimistic. Don't give up. Don't throw in the towel. Don't feel like like time's running out or that there's not a lot of options, because that gets you into really, really panicky behavior, and you make poor choices when you're in panic behavior. So when you feel like time is on your side, and that in a moment the creator can send you a person, like literally I could have to go to the store for something tonight and run into the man of my dreams. If that's what God had in store for me, he would make sure it would happen. So just stay optimistic, keep believing, because if you don't believe, then you're not going to be putting out an attractive energy. You have to have positive expectations for yourself that of course, you're going to have someone amazing. You deserve someone amazing. You're amazing. You're going to give amazing. You're going to get amazing. But that's if you hold out for yourself, right? You'll get I'm amazing and I want amazing, but people might be offering me fast McDonald's relationships. And if I take that McDonald's relationship, I've ruined my appetite. There's no space available for what I could have had, like a steak dinner. I could have gone to a finer place and had a steak dinner, but I rushed. I had no discipline. I didn't say no to myself, and I filled up on hamburger. Gross, processed, fast food hamburger. Not even really good hamburger. Right? So hold out. You will get what your threshold of self-discipline will allow you. Let your friends help. Ask for and accept support from others. So if your friends have people they want to set you up with, then be willing to explore that option. If your friends have insight or advice they're trying to give you, be open to it. If you're brave enough, ask your friends what they think is holding you back. I mean, it's a pretty scary thing to do. So I've been working on my own Oracle deck for a while, but it's a deck that is designed to be the straightforward advice that you need from a best friend that they can't give you because they don't want to hurt your feelings. So this deck is like, tell it like it is central. And I think it's very powerful. I use it in all of my new moon and full moon workshops that we do together on this channel. And I used it, I believe, in my 2025 prediction series. But it is a very powerful deck. I'm working on typing it into the El Computadora right now. It's all on note cards, handwritten at the moment. So I have the only copy. But hopefully I will be self-publishing. That's my goal. Okay, so let your friends help. If you have the courage, ask your friends what you think, what they think. If there's anything obvious about you that is off-putting or holding you back. So maybe something in your personality, or maybe it's, your habits or your routines. Another thing about let your friends help is that you can meet people through like social activities. So maybe get more involved in group hangs with friends instead of doing that one-on-one hang where you just talk to each other and you don't talk to anyone while you're out. Group activities, right? A lot of people I work with have running clubs. They go running together. I'm a lone wolf. I run alone. But book clubs, there's all kinds of things that people can do together that end up attracting more friends to the group, because everybody's like, you know what, I'm going to invite my friend. So maybe you meet someone through your friends, through common interests and activities. All right, now let's get a little bit more insight into wedding. I really love this deck. It's the Psychic Tarot for the Heart by John Holland. This is an Oracle tarot deck because there's not like the court cards, but all the major arcana and the pip cards are accounted for, and they have like a relational theme. So Shine was already turned over as I was shuffling. So this is the Sun card, and this is about new vitality, new joy, new radiance, new illumination, new insights, new abundance. It's like a big hell yes. So there is something that is come up to the surface in your life. It is like the zit that is ready to pop that will leave you with clear skin. Something is ready to change or be pruned or to be adjusted, and we're so close to having this person in our life. To me, I feel like there's like more than one person that could be right for you. And everybody has their own free will. So I feel like God sends you someone who's at your equally yoked when you're ready and they're ready when the time is right. So I feel like there is someone so close circling the runway, and you may or may not know each other yet. You may not have met. Maybe you kind of do know them and they're in your peripheral, but you just wouldn't think of them in this moment. But something is going to be happening soon, and I feel like it's on the other side of this insight into yourself, and something that you're going to transform. All right, so new cycle is starting. Free yourself. Share the love. This is 3 of Cups. So, 3 of Cups, I noticed this little cracked heart here, and this is with free yourself. So I immediately thought, free yourself from any third-party issues. Like, for instance, well, obviously, third party is if you are involved or having feelings for someone who's involved with someone else. Absolutely no. Get out of that. Tell yourself no. If you have to, every day on the hour, every hour on the hour, tell yourself no. Don't go there. Right? Even in a boyfriend-girlfriend situation where they're not engaged or whatever, it's like that person still like would, even if their relationship ended, they have to go through that whole phase of like healing. It could take months, it could take a year. Don't go there, right? Keep yourself free for someone who's already available and ready to go. Out of the box, no assembly required, batteries included, okay? Another thing that can be an example of a third-party situation is someone who maybe is technically available, but they are so mired with their responsibilities and duties and things that they have to take care of that they don't have the capacity to give what they need to in a relationship. And they don't have enough bandwidth to really be fully in the relationship. They might have sick relative that they're taking care of, or maybe their business is just taking off and they're having to put so much work in it that they just don't really have time for you. Maybe this person is not at your maturity level, and it's not an issue. It's like a more immaterial issue that is the third party that's holding you, keeping you two from being together. It's like, think of this person and what is it that's standing between you? That thing that's standing between you is the third party, right? If they perceive themselves as being too broke to date you, or not having enough money, not being financially stable enough, whether or not you care about that or it's true, that person's consciousness about that thing is holding them back from being able to feel like they're fully bringing themselves to the picture. So that's going to cause problems. They're going to have confidence issues, and they're going to say things like, why are you with me? And all that stuff. And all that projection never goes to a good place, because I've been with that guy too. So maybe they are in school and it's taking up all their focus and all their resources. Maybe they have a health issue that they have to deal with before they can, be free to really have the full happiness that they want. Whatever it is, it can show up in different ways. They could be a long distance person that has no intention of ever moving, and you have no intention of moving there, but you're like, oh, I just really like them, I really click with them, or whatever. Geographical location can be a third party. So what are we doing now? Freeing ourselves from third party situations where we are not the priority and something is standing in between standing in the way of you and that person being together. No, keep going, not the right person. So automatic no. Canceled. Okay. Playfulness. Confronting fears. So yeah, you might feel a little bit afraid to put yourself out there. And you're like, how do I flirt? How do I be charismatic? How do I be charming? And you might, like, all of that, like, social anxiety could really be holding you back. And honestly, the thing is that you just have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to get rejected. You have to be willing to look stupid. You have to be willing to be embarrassed and fall on your face. You know, people, like, I'm not for everyone. I think that, like, I'm a beautiful woman who is charismatic and funny and talented and insightful, and I could go on, but I'm not for everyone. Some people are repelled by me. Some people are so obsessed with me that they don't allow themselves to be with me because of that, right? So you're not for everyone. And that's okay. And so you'll try it with people and see, and then sometimes they just can't. And that's not all on you, right? But we have to be able to be resilient and pull ourselves back, right? We can't get, like, super disappointed about these people that, like, kind of come and go, because we're getting too attached too early and, like, telling ourselves a big narrative, and then filling in the gaps, and then, like, signing our name with theirs, and, like, thinking about our wedding. And it's like, you've projected all of this stuff on this person that you don't even know yet. So if you can stay grounded and think of someone else as auditioning for you, then you're just thinking, okay, I'm getting to know this person. I'm not attaching myself to this person. I'm just getting to know who they are for real, without me getting drunk on like oxytocin. It's going to cloud my judgment. I'm looking at who this person really is. Are we actually compatible? Do we share the same beliefs and values? Do we both want the same thing within relationship world right now? And do we both want that with each other? Like, you need to find that out gradually, and you need to give someone time to get to know who they really are, because in the beginning, it's like people are putting on their best foot forward, and it's not going to last forever. It'd be nice if it did, but their true self is going to emerge, and that takes a little bit of time. And so if you're getting to know people and they're not who you thought they were, not who you were hoping it would be, you can't get disappointed about every single person as if they were the one and you lost the one. You can be disappointed, though, that they weren't the one. They didn't turn out to be the one, and that's disappointing. But it's not the same as, like, mourning these people that you project all of this depth of story on, and they're not reciprocating those thoughts and feelings about you. They've moved on. So again, confronting our fears of rejection, confronting our fears of looking foolish, confronting our fears about just embarrassing ourselves or being cringe, right? And the way that you do that is you get out there and you be playful, and you don't take yourself too seriously, and you're willing to, like, take a hit or two. And not be completely devastated if you make yourself look stupid, right? You can put yourself out there a little towards someone, and, you know, see if they return the warmth, see if they return the flirtation, right? But if you sit here and feel insecure and feel like, oh, the world rejects me all your life, then that's all you will experience. So be ready. And then also too, you know, we need to really confront our shadow and our true self, the things that might be holding us back. So again, I think that's underscoring that idea. This video is getting longer than I intended. Sorry, you guys. All right, the last two cards, release. This is death. This is transformation. This is letting go, again, of all that decay that's ready to move away from you. All those dead leaves that aren't yielding fruit, those dead branches, we need to prune that away, and we need to make room for real things to come in. We need to make way for our true self to shine through. And then flow. Oh my gosh, this is the wheel of fortune. So what this tells me is that if you do decide to participate in the Lenten fast, what you give up and what you truly change about yourself is adding all that miracle juice into the wheel of fate and destiny that will be turning for you, and beautiful things will come into your life. So again, the more that we die to our old, lower, lesser self, those negative shells of darkness, and we break through them, and we give up things that are hard to give up about ourselves, and we overcome challenging parts of ourselves, that makes way for God to do miracles. And when you make big changes with something that's hard for you, that opens up even more light for God to channel through your life. So don't bemoan the sacrifice. The harder it is, the more powerful the miracle it will reveal. All right, that's all for tonight. I'm starving. It's time for my cheese and my little glass of wine. So I hope y'all have a good rest of your night, your day, or whatever you are doing. And I'll see you tomorrow for our weekend reflection message, where we sort of tie up our lessons for the week and enjoy our weekend. All right. Until then, peace.